Okay. Hi everyone, this is Diva Turial, and this Happy Learning is my first channel where I'm going to be teaching AWS. So I just wanted to put this thing up front. I'm not an expert in AWS by any means. I am not a teacher. I'm simply a student who is learning AWS and then wanted to share my learning tips and strategies with any students who might be interested in learning AWS. So I would say learning complex topics in AWS in a simpler way. So that's the purpose of this channel. So yes, at the moment, I am working towards my solution architect professional exam and networking specialty. So those are the two exams I'm preparing for at the moment. I thought maybe I can learn better if I teach it, right? So I don't have any students to teach them. So I thought maybe I can record my videos and share it on YouTube so anyone can benefit from them. I have cleared my Solution Architect Associate certificate, and then I also have cleared my Security Specialty exam. So those are the two exams I have passed, and then I'm working for the two more. So without any further ado, I wanted to go into, I would say, the things or the topics that I will be covering in this channel. So I'm just going to go into AWS Services. Let me just go full screen here, right? So what I'm going to be doing is, so what I wanted to, or maybe like the way I want to teach it is seeing the bigger picture, because it's really, really important. Usually we study those services in isolation. And then that's one of the reasons, no matter how much we try, we don't remember them afterwards. But how about if we see everything in one big picture and then we see how they're being integrated, right? So that's the first strategy that has helped me a lot. And then the second one is using analogies, right? I'm not sure if you have seen my networking overview video. In that one, I am using analogy. For example, I'm comparing a VPC with a castle. So, and then, we might not understand what a VPC is or what it does, but what a castle does, what's the purpose of it, we might understand it. For example, I say the subnets within a VPC are different, or maybe the availability zones within a VPC are the different wards, and then the subnets within a VPC are actually the different chambers. So we have, say, private chamber, we have in a castle that correspond to a private subnet in a VPC. So that's what I mean by analogy. So if you are curious and wanted to know how I'm using those analogies, you can look into my networking overview. So that's it. And then the last part that we have to be doing is definitely we need to know the details. So the last part should be details. So you have to start in this order. I mean, yeah, at least it worked for me. So I started with the big picture and I used analogies. And then the third part was actually going into the details of each thing. This is just a slide of saying where AWS stands in terms of the cloud market share. So it's definitely at the top of it. I wouldn't go into details into this one. And they have so many different regions around the globe with different availability zones. Again, it's the king in cloud computing. So I have the AWS Solution Architect Professional Exam Guide, because that kind of cover all the different topics that I will be covering in this channel. Or I would say in the future, I might be going towards other cloud, but at the moment, predominantly, I will be working, or I will be explaining topics in AWS, right? And then since I'm working towards my professional exams, so I'm going to be listing the topics here, and then I will be using these topics to make my videos and explain some of the complex topics in there. Anyway, so those are the list of the different topics. I wouldn't going to them. So anyone who has, I would say, a little bit, I would say, experience or understanding in AWS, they would know what those services stand for and how they do. But even if you don't know, that's completely fine, because I'm listing them here right now, but then in the later videos, I will be explaining everything, both as a big picture and also their specific details. So this is just a bunch of other services that were listed in that exam guide, right? So what do we have? We have AWS, and then I'm just listing those services. So for example, we have analytics services. So those were the color coding used by AWS. I'm using the same color coding in there and just listing them. So I'm just roughly dividing them into two different parts. And then any services that were actually at the top of the line and here, that's where I will be explaining them, listing them with more details. So for analytics, there are a bunch of services, say Amazon Athena, Kinesis, Glue, or QuickSight, right? And then a few more services in here that we have. Okay, and then those were the services then below the line. And then I'm using those lines, there is no rule to it. It's just roughly dividing them into certain parts. That was actually helpful for me to remember, or not remember, but kind of make a sense of how they are related to each other, right? So now, how about if someone is seeing those services at the first glance, it might be overwhelming and I say, oh my God, that's too much, right? So what about if I put them in like 4 different parts to make it a bit more simple? For example, if it's AWS, or if it's, I would say, if you take the analogy of a company, right, or an organization, what are some main things that are happening to make sure that the company or the organization is running smoothly, right? So definitely operation and communication is one part. Storage, can be the storage of the files, or it can be storage of anything, but where they hold, if it's say an IT company, where they're holding their information or keeping their information. For example, if it's a supermarket, they're storing their groceries and things like that, right? And then we have security, and then some other services. And then, so under operation and communication, I'm including networking and content delivery, compute and containers, application integration, and then in storage, we have database, storage and database and migration services. And then in security, we will have definitely security, compliance and identity, management and governance, analytics services, and in the other services, we have a bunch of them, right? So it can be cost management, it can be something like front-end web and mobile, such as AppSync, or they can be business applications such as Alexa, in Comprehend, SageMaker, and some other machine learning applications, right? So, and then I'm just listing whatever services were there under these 4 categories, right? Again, so there are so many of them, just I'm putting or I'm listing them in there, right? Okay, so that's what I had in here. So now I'm going to do something. I'm going to further divide them just a little bit more, because if we put everything into 4 quadrants, that will be like a really oversimplification, right? So again, I'm dividing them into networking and content delivery, compute, container analytics, storage, other services, security, compliance, identity, management and governance, and application integration. And then I'm kind of, again, dropping those services that belong to that specific category. So that's what I have. I won't go into kind of, I would say, like talking about each one of them at the moment, because that would be too much. But I will be sharing my slides. Anyone interested, they can reach out to me. I have my email for this channel included in the description of this channel. So you can definitely reach out and ask for the slides, and I will be sharing them not just for this one, but for all of my videos. So that's what I have, right? So what I will be doing is I will be picking one area, and then I will be making a playlist out of that, and then we'll be explaining all the different services. But for the first part, it will be just the bigger picture. So remember, I had 3 points. When I had the bigger picture, the analogy, and then the details. So in here, when I'm picking up, for example, I had networking and content delivery. So I have a playlist for that, and I had one longer video as well, where I'm explaining everything in one slide, just one slide. So all of those things in one slide, how do they look like? And then I will be picking up the second one that I'm preparing for right now is security, compliance, and identity. So in one big picture, how they are integrated or how they work together with each other while using analogy. So that's what I will be doing. And then the next playlist will be on storage. The other playlist will be on management and governance, and then on other services. So once I have covered the bigger picture for all those 6 different sections, then I will be picking each specific, I would say, topic. For example, Amazon S3, and then I will be having a separate video just on that one. So first thing, I will be picking one section or one area. So in security, whatever is covered, explaining it in a bigger picture, and then explaining it with analogy. And then once that part is being covered, then I will be going into, I would say, each specific topic. So I think so that's it. So if I give an example for a networking part, right? So how I'm explaining everything in the networking part in one slide, this is how it looks like. Again, if you're curious, I have another playlist, another longer video where I explain this everything. And then in terms of the security part, this is how I have divided it roughly, right? So say, for example, if I have security, AWS security, compliance, and also identity, what does it mean? For example, if you go with an organization, or instead of an organization, right? I can go to my castle analogy that I use for my networking overview part, right? I'll be saying if it's an entry, if someone wanted to enter this organization or someone wanted to enter this castle, what are some of the different tools, or what are some of the different ways or ports that they can do that? So in the services that will be related to security and compliance, and also for the authentication and authorization part, those will be the identity access management in IAM. Those will also be the cognitive services, directory services, and then SAML and web filtration. And then if I go for the detection part, it will be CloudWatch, and then also Spectre Guard Duty, and for the prevention part, and then the protection. So like, here's the bigger picture. Someone wanted to enter, those are the services. And then whatever is happening inside that organization, we need to have continuous monitoring and detection. Those are the services. And we wanted to prevent any unwanted security breach, what we will be doing. So for preventing, we'll be using these services. And then protection would be, again, I wanted to make sure all of the services inside my AWS environment are protected. In other words, they might be encrypted. So in kind of like keeping my secrets secure, my passwords, my access keys, and everything like that. And for that, we have something like key management services, secret manager, security hub, and things like that. I won't go into details right now because I will have a separate video for the security, but this is what I have so far. So let's see. So for example, if I wanted to pick up just the entry part, what are some of those services? For example, those were the services that I said are part of the entry. That's authentication and authorization. So any of the user wanted to access AWS, what are the services and how they play out? So I have this everything in just this one quadrant. And then for the remaining of them, for example, if I go here, then for example, if I wanted to explain key management services, KMS and those things, then I will be putting all those services in here. So my, I would say, strategy or my way of doing is, I wanted to put everything related to that section in just one slide. It's kind of like a summary of everything. So that's, I would say, all for the moment. I won't go any more into detail. Thank you so much once again. And then feel free to reach out. Have a beautiful day. Bye for now.